Welcome back to another piece of content. This is Solo Dolo Talks. Really important message I want to bring out to you people, and want to push this message for y'all to take heed upon. Um, when it comes to content creators, they are not your friend. You know, content creators, social media influencers, they're not your friend. Don't ever look to them as someone that you can always go to for some type of counseling or advice. And I really want to read through a passage in the Bible where it talks about caution in taking advice. And this particular passage is, located in Sirach Ecclesiasticus. So I want to read from verse 7 all the way to, let's see, to verse 15. And it says, this is chapter 37, verse 7, and it says, every counselor praises counsel, but some give counsel in their own interest. Meaning, the counsel that they're given is for them to gain something in return, which is, in most cases, money. And when you really look at some counselors, aka social media influencers, and I'm not saying all of them are like this, but there are definitely some that are trying to be counselors and they're giving all this advice, but it's not coming from the heart. It's coming from selfish intentions. It also says in verse 8, be wary of a counselor and learn first what is his interest, for he will take thought for himself, lest he cast the lot against you. Verse 9, and tell you, quote unquote, your way is good, and then stand aloof to see what will happen to you. And what this is explaining is that there are counselors, social media influencers that will tell you that your way is good. And that basically saying that God's way is not the way. And that you should trust your own understanding and lead you astray into believing that your own wisdom, your own understanding is above God's understanding and wisdom. Right? They'll manipulate you to, big head you up to think that your way is good. And they'll just sit aside and wait to see what happens to you, right? Like, meaning they are expecting you to fail in whatever it is that you're looking to do with your life. And you're seeking counsel. I mean, this can be anything, relationships, um, anything in business. You go to the wrong people, man, they could prey on your downfall. So it's very important that you be careful of what counselors you go seeking for, right? Social media influencers. Now in verse 10, it says, do not consult the one who looks at you suspiciously. Hide your counsel from those who are jealous of you. Do not consult with a woman about her rival, or with a coward about war, with a merchant about barter, or with a buyer about selling, with a grudging man about gratitude, or with a merciless man about kindness, with an idler about any work, or with a man hired for a year about completing his work, with a lazy servant about a big task. Pay no attention to these in any matter of counsel. So this is telling you, do not go to any type of counselors and they're giving you the opposite advice. They're giving you false information, right? Never go to a counselor that does not practice what they preach. If they're preaching about certain things, they're preaching about, you know, semen retention, right? They're they're preaching that. They're telling you to practice retaining your sexual energy, but they themselves do not practice seed retention. But they're telling you the importance of cultivating your sexual energy to improve your life and to harness all of that life force. But they themselves are jerking off every day. They're wasting their seed, but they're telling you to not do that. That would be going to a counselor that is false, right? Seeking advice from somebody that doesn't practice what they preach. You know, never go to a lazy person about a big task because they know nothing about a big task, because they simply do not have the energy or the wherewithal or even the focus or the hunger or drive to complete a big task. Because why? They're lazy and slothful. So continuing on to verse 12. But stay constantly with a godly man whom you know to be a keeper of the commandments, whose soul is in accord with your soul, and who will sorrow with you if you fail, and establish the counsel of your own heart. Of your own heart, for no one is more faithful to you than it is. For a man's soul sometimes keeps him better informed than 7 watchmen sitting high on a watchtower. And besides all this, pray to the Most High, that he may direct your way in truth. So, you know, what this is telling you, all these verses, man, they're telling you to be cautious in what counsel you are seeking, what advice that you are seeking from content creators, social media influencers, etc. Because the advice they're looking to give you, they want something in return, which is money. And the advice they give is not genuine. So they'll give you the best advice based on what they're getting in return. But if they would ever try to give advice to people, you know, it would never be genuine because they don't really mean it from the heart. They're only seeking their own interest. That's all it is for. You got counselors that will steer you the wrong way. And this is why you got to, you know, subscribe and follow people that are of the commandments, that keep the commandments. that is preaching the word of God because they have a genuine heart to do so and to do God's work.